Hi everyone, good morning. Today we are going to continue this tell me about your roles and responsibilities, and there is another question that we have to discuss today about tell me about the tools that you have used in your projects. Okay, so for tell me about your roles and responsibilities. Last week we saw that if you are a lead BA, you're going to tell about how did you lead a project, and then how did you do budgeting, and then how did you do all this forecasting, estimation, story points. And this is for like for a lead BA. I explained like last week. But if you're going for mid level or junior like BAs, then what should you say? What you should say is you need to tell about like what like actually like what are the core BA responsibilities, like gathering requirements. And then let me write it here for junior BA. So let's say you're going for mid level or like a junior beginners, okay, junior level BAs. Then in that case, just talk about how did you schedule calls, and how did you gather requirements, and then how did you document your requirements. So when it comes to documentation, definitely you need to talk about waterfall versus agile, and talk about BRDs, FRDs, and SRS. So, and for agile, you need to talk about user stories. That's your for junior base. The expectation is you know how to like schedule calls and gather requirements, and you know how to document. That is like this is a basic functionality of BA. Without even knowing how to write a BRD, I don't think anybody is going to hire you, right? So you're going to tell that as a like for example, I'm Pradeepa. I have about like 3+ years of experience as a business analyst. My core responsibility was to gather requirements and then document the requirements in BRD's FRS, SRD, FRD, SRS documents, and I have also worked in Agile methodology project. I know how to write user stories and document in Jira and Confluence. So there is a difference between if you're going to apply for lead BA versus this mid-level roles. For lead BA, you start with all this like budgeting estimation that you have to focus on, like leadership, coordinating with leadership, that those kind of keywords you have to use. For us, for junior BAs, you need to talk more about all these documents. So when it comes to BRD, what kind of like BRD means, what is BRD, and difference between BRD, FRS, FRD and SRS. This is a very common question. Difference between BRD, FRD and SRS. BRD means business requirement document. FRD is functional requirement document. SRS is system specification document. So for example, uh, this FRD and SRS, in my experience, I'm not creating this FRD and SRS. In my projects and all, I am doing only BRD and user stories because mine is an agile project. For a very long time, I'm working in an agile project. I have earlier worked on waterfall in 2012, that time. I have worked in waterfall. That time we used to write all this BRD, FRD, SRS and all. But once like when when our teams want to move into like sprint concepts, and we want to focus on agile, we want to follow agile methodology and scrum, especially scrum framework, we are not creating any FRD and SRS. This FRD and SRS is replaced by user stories in the current world, but we are creating BRD. In my projects, at least, I'm creating BRD. Why? Because most of my projects are like I'm coordinating with external vendors. I have a different external vendors who needs to integrate with our system and our application, and back and forth, like we need to acknowledge or transfer files or something. So that's why I have a BRD, because they don't have access to my Jira board. They don't have access to my developers like user stories. So there is no way like they're going to understand the business requirements, right? So I'm giving them the requirements as a part of a BRD. So that's why in my projects I'm using only BRD and user stories. But But for at least for interview purposes, you need to know what is FRD and SRS. So BRD means, let me take an example of a BRD now. Okay, let me share screen. So if you see here, this is a sample business requirement document. So they have added, they've added first of all, what is the version, and then who was the author, initial draft, second draft, third draft, and all that. And then next it comes to like what are the different departments were involved in this project, and did they approve this document, or is it in pending status? So that is their. This is like, for example, you can, instead of distribution list, you can also change it by business owners' names or stakeholders list, something like that you can add. Then reference documents. Then comes the table of contents. So if it comes to when it comes to table of contents, you're going to say introduction, what is the purpose of this document, scope, in scope and out of scope, then functional requirements, then non-functional requirements, then talks about like you can let this grocery or um, look that section, right? This is a very simple BRD. It's not a very detailed one, but I'm just giving you on high level how real-time BRDs work. So for example, here they're talking about the purpose of this document is like specifies the business requirement of IT solutions required for NCAs to exchange data related to orders in financial instruments with other NCAs with some regulation. And this is used as an input for the design stage of this particular IT solution. So this is the project name. Okay, so particular IT solution, and the IT solution is defined in the FRD or FSD. And also they're telling about what are the different, like what is the purpose of this current document, right? We are preparing this document in relation to content creation, delivery of a new BRD, review of the BRD, delivery of feedback by this particular stakeholders. So scope here is the current BRD scopes are describing all functional and non-functional requirements of this particular project. And they are talking about, they're going to describe only about all this functional, non-functional. Out of scope is nothing but anything that is beyond from this functional, non-functional requirements that is described in this project will be considered as out of scope. So this is an important question on, tell me the difference between in scope and out of scope, and how do you like make sure that a requirement is a scope creep. Okay, there is a word called scope creep. So how do you define in scope and out of scope as a BA? In scope is something, but like whatever requirements it's documented here. So let's go to the functional requirements. So they are saying like they're drawing some diagram how this project is going to work, and then they're going to talk about how that overall system, that data is being transferred, how, and then we are talking about data exchanges, and then so all this is functional requirements, right? So this is a diagram mostly given by an architect, or you can also draw on how, like high level, they are talking about how data is being exchanged between multiple systems, and then how are we going to do that data validation. All this is coming under functional requirements. Non-functional is mostly, you all guys know that it is security, and scalability, and then performance and all that. That will come under, this is like backup and disaster recovery. This and all will be coming in as non-functional. Apart from this, whatever if we are not written anything here, all that will be considered as out of scope. Or so, for example, to give you like a very live example of that AI chatbot, that project that we are discussing. So, so what will be in scope? In scope is something like, in scope means it's available only in English. So the chatbot can reply only in English. It cannot reply in other languages. So in scope, you're going to write here functional, non-functional requirements, and you will also specify that that bot that we are creating for Cigna for the member portal will reply all the answers only in English. So okay, so other languages, anything other English will be out of scope. Spanish is out of scope. Other languages are out of scope. I'm just giving an example of in scope and out of scope. Then scope creep. What is scope creep? How do you identify scope creep? And if you have identified scope creep, what will you do as a BA? That is also a question. Scope creep means usually business owners will think that is in scope. Okay, and so they will think like, okay, it is in scope, and then they'll expect that from you, but but it is not documented anywhere. For you, you will think that is out of scope, but business owners are thinking like it should be done. So we also like we say that as like missed requirements, or it was not communicated effectively, and then now business wants to complete that, but we have not documented anywhere. And then that's where the stakeholders conflicts and everything comes, right? Like they're telling like, no, we have already told you, and you are showing this document and telling like it's not documented anywhere. So that is scope creep. Once a scope creep is being identified, what you have to do as a BA, first of all, you need to identify why it was not like captured earlier during all this elucidation sessions. And then you need to make sure how long it's going to take. If business is very adamant that that change has to be done within a certain time, or that is very crucial or critical, then you have to like bring your developers and you have to discuss with your project manager, scrum master, product owner. So you are not promising anything to the business owners. Once a scope creep is identified in a call, then you are not going to promise anything to the business owner telling like, okay, this will be done in like next 2 weeks. You should not do this. Number one, don't promise them anything, because you don't know how long it's going to take to finish that work. Number two, you have to inform your leadership, your project manager, your scrum master, your product owner, your scrum team, everybody. You have to inform there was a scope creep identified and we need to fix this. Otherwise business is going to escalate this to the director or staff VP level. Somewhere this escalation is going to go on. Okay, so first one is you don't promise anything. You, when they say that this has to be done, why you guys are not doing it, stay calm in that call. Then you just say that, okay, is it like, okay, can you tell me exactly what is the change that is being required? Don't like defend your team saying like, oh, this was something like you guys have to give. Don't do that. So you have to be very patient and then ask them, can you list down what is the expectation or what are the changes, and can you send me an email? So either you have to record the call for your proof, or you're going to send an email. Just politely ask them to send an email, because you need to be somewhere there needs to be documentation that business required I mean requested these changes. Because if it's not in this document, if any of the requirements is not documented in this document, means it is out of scope for you. For your IT team, it is out of scope. So they are not going to touch anything unless it's documented here and a valid sign off is given. Now, suddenly, like business owners during UAT testing or sometime middle, like during development, or they're coming during SIT testing, they're coming and telling you that this is a missed requirement. Why you guys are not focusing on this? We've already told you this change and something, but you have not documented here. Then that is scope creep, right? So what you do is like you list all the change requests, then you ask them to send an email. You also record the call, may ask like ask their permission and record their call for the proof. Then you have to like inform immediately after the call is over. Please inform your project manager and your scrum master. Loop all your scrum masters and product owners and the lead engineer, architects, everybody, and then tell like, as discussed in this earlier call, business is asking for a change, and attach this BRD. And then you're going to say, in this BRD, we don't have any kind of the doc requirement listed. And this BRD was reviewed and they provided sign off like 3 months ago. Now they want to change the requirement, right? So you attach the BRD, just say that as discussed in the call, business wants additional requirements to be added to the existing development project. And then you also ask business owners to acknowledge that email, and then list all that whatever requirements are being missed, right? They have to list it down everything. So this proof is very important. I have had experience in the past where business owners are coming and asking for something, and you don't have any proof of them requesting it earlier, and then they may like escalate. The only time like I was able to defend myself and my team was like this emails and constant like all this call recordings and all. So what I replied was, I replied with that recording. Okay, so I attached that recording, and I very specifically pinpointed like at 20.02 that time, business told it is out of scope. Now they are like wanting that to be added, right? I just attached that recording call, and then I just specifically like made sure I tagged that timestamp, and then like I told I included my project manager, and then said, see here, she's saying me this is out of scope like 3 months back. Now she's coming and telling me like, so I sent that to my manager, not everybody. So when you're sending proof and all, don't put mass emails and then don't include everybody. You're going to have a very bad name. You just tell your manager, see here, I have proof here, and I'm talking because like nowhere in the BRD this requirement is documented, and I have a call recording at this particular time. This is what business owners want. So my manager reviewed that call, and she was like, okay, I'll take care of it. So from there, manager will take care of it. Okay, so you are not going to go there and fight with the business owners, but you need to tell your manager that yes, see here, they already confirmed this prior 3 months back, but now they are telling to add this requirement, so you take care of it. So for like just like protecting yourself and your team and then your entire scrum team's mental health, you need to as a BA have like all this proof in emails, in chats, and through all this call recordings to make sure this out of scope is not going to become a problem, because it will become a problem. Scope creep is a very big thing in real life, right? For BA, scope creep is something like that is happening every day. They come and like they want you to add requirements. They say this is agile methodology, so I can add requirements at any point of time, and your team has to do it. This is crucial. This has to be done in 2 weeks. This is something like this is like a state mandate, has to be done in 2 weeks. This is something like a federal mandate. It has to be done in 2 weeks. So they come and give additional requirements. So you have two process. One is identifying scope creep and then making sure like how long it's going to take for that requirement to be added, and then make sure it's resolved, right? That's one thing. Otherwise, if it's a completely like a very big missed requirement and you need additional funding, then that has to come as a change request only. So that process is called as change request process. Change request in the sense like again that business owners has to like submit an intake, and then they have to specify all the requirements. Again, you have to redo the reversioning of that BRD, get the sign off, then you have to start development. This change request will come only for like where if there is a very big change, then we are going to go. But if it's going to be very minor changes and all, you can discuss with your project manager, and if he or she is okay, you can add in the next sprint. But if it's a very big missed requirement, then you're going to go for change request process. That is, in interview, they can ask you, have you dealt with business owners constantly changing requirements? What do you do as a BA? What are the protocols your IT team follows for change for like all these like situations, right? What do you do? How do you handle professionally? So you're not going to fight with them. You're not going to have any kind of conflicts with the stakeholders. So you just explain that, yes, I understand you have additional requirements, and there is a process we follow within our IT team. You have to submit a new intake request. I'll share the link in the chat. Please update your new requirements in that particular Jira story. And then once it is done, our scrum master and product owner will get back to you in a couple of days with the timelines, with the new timelines, with the new funding and everything. Our team will get back to you. That's how you're going to end the call. So scope creep and change request or something like in the interview, definitely they are going to ask you. Okay, any doubts on these topics? These are very important. In scope, out of scope, scope creep, missed requirements, and change request.
I'm
Hi
good, I
Pratibha,
think.
I'm Rohit.
Hi.
I just have wondered, do we update this BRD dynamically? Because I see there are draft or the versions for the BRD, right? Or it's only a one-time document we do.
No, we do versioning, but like for example, once like say, it says initial draft, second draft, then after this, then there needs to be a sign off given. Okay,
Okay.
so then that will be the final one.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is like you started your work as a BA. You started writing the document. Okay,
Oh, okay.
and it takes a couple of months for them to like completely finish this document, completely like gather requirements and everything. Then you get the sign off. There'll be a date for that. That's all. That will be.
Oh, okay.
And
Whenever
then
we keep updating the BRD, so the draft keep changing and we mention that here in the document, right?
yeah, anytime you're going to add something, even if it's
Okay.
going to be a new line, you're going to remove something, you're going to update it here.
Oh, okay.
Every time, for example, I'm adding new stakeholders. Okay, in the stakeholders list, I'm adding a new stakeholder. Then you put it like put that date and say that remote stakeholder, something like that, and you keep any change in that BRD, right? You're going to add it here.
Oh, okay. And one more thing is that, so we don't have any kind of FRDs for agile methodology.
Yeah, yeah, I am not using practically. I'm not using. Instead, I'm writing user stories. So
So in general practice, industry standards, do we have that?
yeah,
Uh,
I'll show you how
or
an FRD will work because then you'll understand why we are not creating. So FRD
okay,
is more like functional requirements, right? So that is like you're giving to the developer,
which can be mentioned in a user story itself instead of.
which can be done like in user story level
Gotcha.
itself.
I got it. Yeah. Okay.
So let me give an example of. So this is an FRD document. So if you see here, here also you're going to have this user requirements. So initially earlier in waterfall methodology, since we don't have that sprint concept and everything, we will write like this: functional requirement 1, and
Right.
then other functional requirement 2, functional requirement 3, like this we will start writing login, account creation, and then registration, like that everything will be a functional requirement. So usually developers will take that as reference and they'll start the development, but instead now this is being replaced by a user story.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
Yeah, this is not for business. FRD is not for business. This is like for our developers.
Okay.
For business owners only, we are having BRD.
Got it. Got it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks, Rohit. Does anybody have any other questions on BRDs and FRDs? I'll show you a sample SRS show. See, FRDs will be like this. It is same like BRD only, but you'll have like more in detailed functional requirements, like all this data flow diagram specifically for our developers, right? We are writing all the requirements in detail, use cases.
Pradeepa,
Yes.
do we think like in for regarding user stories, when we get the requirement from the stakeholder, do we think like we will write all the stories related to that, like as per our understanding we might miss some of them, right? So how to handle that accuracy?
From BRD. So business owners cannot give you sign off on user story level. Okay, what they
Mhm.
give you sign off is on the business requirements. So, for example, they will tell, like, for example, this AI project, right? What they will tell you, if someone member comes and like ask for like claims questions or prior authorization questions or appeals questions, the bot has to reply accordingly. That's all they are going to ask. They're going to
Mhm.
tell to you, and you're going to like high level. You can ask them some question. This is business requirement, right? But when you're converting business into a user story, it is more
Mhm.
technical, which like business owners cannot understand. So when I say that member is asking, member initially a member is logging. I mean, asking for some simple question. May I help you? How? What are the validations we have to do? And then
Mhm.
in backend systems, how we need to that particular member portal in backend system, how it needs to integrate. How are we going to validate that member? How are we going to make sure if I ask for a use case? Like, let's say a member is asking for prior authorization status and he is giving me an use case. If use case number, with that use case number, how my system is going to go to the backend systems and retrieve data and figure out what is the status of that authorization and come back and reply to the member, right? So that interaction and all, I'll write in a user story, which will be very technical.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk about API integration, backend, like authorization integration with different teams, how like get API and then documents upload API, like so many like technical, which my developer only can understand, like business owners cannot understand. So you are not getting sign off for all the user stories, just the
Mm-hmm.
BRD, you get it, and then you're okay with the business owners. And
Mm-hmm.
user story level, you
Mm-hmm.
must make sure you're not missing anything technical. You're not supposed to miss it, but there is a high chance you may miss for a very big projects, right? Here and there
Yeah.
you may miss. That's why we are doing like three types of testing: SIT, UAT, and unit testing. So even if you miss something in SIT, you'll be able to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in reality, like don't think like you'll be like picture perfect. You're going to write all the user stories and
Yeah,
then
that is what, like, we might miss something like a technicality. We are not that much technical. So when we are discussing with the team, with the developers team, will they give
developers
any?
also will may miss because they are handling multiple projects and
Yes.
then they are having production issue. They may also miss. So
Will they
see,
give any inputs on user stories? Like maybe for integrations, we don't know so many things about integrations and all APIs. This APIs is required for this kind of
that's why
thing.
you
So
need to have a very good rapport with your engineer.
okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes. You cannot assume things and write in a user story
true,
and
true,
then you cannot ask him to develop, right? So you
true,
need to
true.
like see what you can say is high level, this is a business requirement. Now you
Mhm.
tell me in backend like how what are the different teams is getting involved, what are the like different APIs that needs to be used, which team I need to coordinate and get the APIs for you. Are we creating any API and we need to give to a different team? That kind of discussion you
Okay,
need to
yeah.
have with your engineer.
Okay, yeah, yeah. This makes sense because definitely, like, we are not that technical, so we might miss so many user stories. So
No, no, no,
we can
you
ask
can.
them, right, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, you don't know, right? You're not a developer, so you will not
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Sure.
All you to make sure you create a placeholder user story and then you know like technical details definitely you need to check with the engineer and he will give you inputs and with help of chat gpt and all without any grammar mistake please add it in the
Yeah.
description and then acceptance criteria make it
Okay.
like so that when anybody picks any developer not only the lead engineer anybody
Mm-hmm.
picks up that user story right they're able to
Mm-hmm.
understand the user story otherwise they will constantly ping you
Yeah, yeah.
anyway they're going to ping you but if you don't write anything in the user story they're going to constantly ping you and ask you like what should I do what what kind of development I should do like give me correct requirements they're going to ask so it's better when you write a user story itself you detail as much as possible for that
Mm-hmm.
see some people think like entire for all the requirement gathering calls only a BA will be there and developer will not be there like that people are thinking no see one at least one lead engineer and one architect will be there in the call
Yeah.
in all the requirement you are the one leading the call doesn't mean you are asking all the questions and you cannot ask also because your brain
Yeah,
is
when developer is asking, we can write it, right? So that, like, for preparing it will be
right
easy for
right
us.
what you do when you if you can ask the developer
It's what
let's say
even I did, but I don't know, like, whenever you are saying, like, mostly we are involved, right? So I'm little, yeah.
yeah, yeah, as a lead BA, yes. So,
Mhm.
see, when I say BA is involved, we schedule
Mhm.
calls, we invite everybody. Initial, like first 10 minutes, you will converse with them with the
Mhm.
why this call was scheduled and what kind of questions we have. Only then you can ask the developer, like, do you have
Mhm.
any technical questions? You can ask them. We cannot like, then what's our role then? If you directly
Yeah.
schedule a call and you went on mute and only the engineer is leading the call then what
Yeah.
is it like what is our like what is
Yes.
our job room like we're just on mute then you can be easily replaced if you are like
Yeah.
that kind of BA who's
Mhm.
just scheduling calls and you're not doing any kind of requirement gathering you're not helping the developer the engineer
Mhm.
is going to definitely escalate to the project manager and you'll say like okay she's always on mute she's not talking and then I have to lead the calls and it's
Yeah.
double work for me so what you do is see you are a semi technical you are in a semi-technical role. The job role that you have as a BA is you're reducing the work of the developer, right?
Mhm.
So when you schedule the call, first 10 minutes, explain to the business owners why this call was scheduled. We have some technical questions. I have my lead engineer in the call. He also
Mhm.
has some follow-up questions. Like the 10 minutes Ask all the other generic questions, note it down. Then you ask your engineer to ask all the technical details, which he will ask. Okay, then that also you have to make sure it's noted. But it's your responsibility to put that in the user story.
Yeah, sure.
He
Yes.
is not going to touch the user story at all until like
Mhm.
sprint or planning call, right? Once the user story is assigned, only then he's going to look up on the user story. It's your responsibility in all this product grooming, backlog grooming, all this, all the essentials, labels, story points estimation, everything, right? Is your responsibility.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Anybody has any other questions on scope? Let me show you an SRS document.
If you can share some yeah, BRD FRDs in chat, that would be great.
Okay, so here also you have this revision history, and then you're going to say that who's the author for this particular document. And then if you see, this is very important here, only here you'll understand what is the difference between BRD, FRD, and SRS. So here when it comes to SRS documents, we are going to focus on that is on a functional level. We're going to like how we write in user stories, right? We're going to detail everything here. But difference between FRD and SRS is, I can show it. But this, I mean, this, I think this is a bigness. Someone has written this document. You won't be writing like this. You'll write a lot of API integration here. For example, let's say that what is the purpose? It's a e-store. And in e-store, what happens is the system should display all the products that can be configured. You cannot write like this in plain English and ask the developer to like develop right. Instead, you can actually show here some kind of like wireframe diagrams, because this is like e-store. Definitely there'll be a UI involved. So you're going to like showcase exactly how this product needs to be displayed. And then once it is product is selected, what kind of page it needs to navigate. And then how the product needs to be displayed, right? First the product, underneath some kind of description. Then like for example, so this plain English concept, this like in waterfall, it can work, but if I am the author of this document, I won't be like writing like this will not help our developers. So for example, you take this one requirement: system shall display all products that can be configured. Then in that case, you're going to give some kind of like, here you need to display some kind of like wireframe diagram, take screenshots and then add it here. Then showcase like how the products need to be displayed, and then once it is clicked, how that pop-up box should appear. And if it's not available, for example, a product is not available, then how it needs to show, right? So that kind of detailing you have to give in the SRS document. But nobody is using SRS now. That's what I told you. It's being replaced by um, user stories. If you're going to some kind of like very old projects, like state level projects in US, you have 50 states and you're going to like work for a state, something like very old application, then they are not in agile methodology, they are still using waterfall methodology. Only then you'll be creating SRS. Otherwise, you can, for interview purposes, you can understand the difference between BRD, FRD, and SRS. But in real time, you'll be writing user stories. Okay. So that's the difference. So BRD means, in plain English, you're going to write only the business requirements. FRD means more like functional requirements in English. But this SRS is like more technical. For example, if a product needs to be displayed, and user clicks that, what kind of API integration needs to happen. And then are we talking about any kind of social media platform, any kind of integration for this display of the products, and how can member log in from different social media platforms. So for example, they're logging in from, can they log in from Facebook, can they log in from Instagram, or can they log in from their Gmail. So how we need to make sure that login is happening. If they are not using their username and password, what are the alternate ways of logging in and when they click on the product, how it will be showing. And then when there is going to be payment wise, whether there it's a standard like credit card payment, or we are going to use any other kind of payments. So for all that, right, you are going to like make sure there is diagrams here, and you're going to like specify the technical requirements. And this will not work. This is like simple and very basic, right? In reality, this will not work. Okay, so now next question is, tell me about, so for junior BAs, you're going to say only this. I was responsible for gathering requirements, and I was responsible for all this documentation. Then testing, of course, you can say UAT testing and sign off. So don't talk about budgeting and all if you're going to target mid-level or junior level BAs. And it only for senior level BAs, you're going to talk about all this funding perspective, forecasting, estimation, and all that. Okay. Next question is, tell me about the tools that you have used in your projects. So here, the expectation is like if you are agile based methodology projects, if you have worked already in those kind of projects, then expectation is at least Jira, then Confluence, then you have like for tools you're using MS Word, MS Excel, MS Visio, then you're using Balsamic for wireframes. And then they are also asking some AI tools, which I'm going to talk about is Whimsical and Text Cortex. These are the AI tools like currently we have for the BAs in the market. So I think this call is going to end. Can you guys join back? Okay. So when it comes to tools, these are the basic tools: Jira, Confluence, and then all this MS Word and Excel. So sometimes people ask advanced Excel. If you know advanced Excel, you can like put it in your resume. Otherwise, you say you know only like standard Excel. Um, like you know how to write, like how to create like so if they ask like why did you use Excel and all, you can say for data mapping, and then for RTM matrix, all that I have used Excel, you can say. So Visio is basically like if you want to draw any kind of diagram. So what are the different diagrams? Diagrams include flowcharts, data flow diagrams, swim lane diagrams, swim lane diagrams. Then you have UML diagrams, BPMN diagrams. All this you can say. Yeah, I can maybe in upcoming classes, right? I can tell you all this high level on what are the difference between all these diagrams, and then why we are using all these different diagrams and how we are using it, right? Like in what projects we are going to use. But definitely for every project in BRD, you will have like one diagram, one data flow diagram. Definitely you're going to draw. That's for sure. But yeah, you can draw these diagrams not only using MS Visio, there are like other tools in the market. So you can draw through Glyphy diagrams. So there's something called Glyphy diagrams that you can use. There are so many tools actually. So, but these are like very popular. MS Visio, Glyphy diagrams and all, and Balsamic and all is very popular. So please research about all these diagrams and all. Definitely you need to talk about diagrams in the interview. Don't say that I know only basic flowchart. So you need to help the developer or the architect for all this drawing the diagrams, right? So you need to know the difference between flowcharts and BPMN and UML. What is the difference? And where did you use data flow diagrams? Where did you use swim lane diagrams? That and all you need to learn for sure. Then when it comes to other than this is AI tools. AI tools. If they ask like, have you used any AI tools? Please tell this whimsical and text context. Then other than that, if technically if they're asking about any other tools um, uh, like Power BI or for reporting like Tableau and all that. That also, if you have experience, you can tell that. Or if you can manage the interviewer, right? You can say. How many people have experience in these tools or no? For reporting, do you guys know how to create dashboards and all? Like, do you guys have experience or like nobody knows about these two tools?
I
Adipa, I
know.
have experience in Power BI.
Okay. Is it easy or is it difficult?
Power BI is in like
Yes.
once you start understanding it, it becomes very easy. Recently, I created Microsoft Power BI exam as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Power BI, I feel,
yeah,
yeah. Means for larger data sets, Power BI is not useful. Like for healthcare and banking, it is tough to load. But for normally, we can use it for simpler data. Means it will load, but it will take time. So
Mm-hmm.
Tableau is like a very powerful, just like that it will give.
Oh, okay. So let's say like there is a business requirement on like I need a daily report to
Mm-hmm.
my inbox on number of claims received.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm giving you a business requirement. Okay, number of
Yes.
claims received uh, from morning like 12 a.m. till that particular day throughout the day 24 hours. I want to know the number of claims received and successful and denied and rejected, whatever, with some status. Which like do you think Tableau can give it or Power BI can give it?
Both the same, both are same, like but regarding data,
Mm-hmm.
the fast accurate, like the fastness, regarding fastness only, both are same.
Mm-hmm.
uh, this will give any Power BI or Tableau anything, like if we give formula, like a total number of total data, and what is the we will set, right, like if it is greater than 90,
Mm-hmm.
this is the one. If it is 90 to 50, this is the one. If we give the DAX formula, it will display everything. If we want KPIs, we can give KPI format also. KPIs means yeah, like level. Medium level is this one, this many people are in medium level. High level is like
Mm-hmm.
this. We can create KPIs also.
Okay, so will it send emails to business
Uh,
owners? Does it have that capability? Because right now in my project, I'm using SSIS and SSRS report. So
uh-huh.
I don't.
Reporting, by the time, like all the report that we have to send it manually only. I know it,
Mm.
as per my thing, but I don't know. This one I need to check.
Yeah, does anybody know that it will automate reporting and send email to business owners?
Pradeepa, basically when we do in Power BI, we can publish those reports on a daily basis, and whoever has that ownership can view that the one which we have published.
Okay,
Yeah.
but are you publishing it manually or it will do it for yourself? Will it query and then?
So basically, when I was doing internship in one of the companies, they used to have that kind of thing where we can publish, and whoever has the ownership can view it.
Mhm.
So they use something called Power BI as service. So which they have to buy, like it's an enterprise thing which they have to buy,
Mhm.
and from there whoever are given have permissions can view that file. But I don't know exactly regarding can we send those to emails and all.
Emails and all, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you because in my team, right, we are using
No,
SSRS,
now,
ISSIS reporting tools.
but in ChatGPT I just did, but it is giving that option also, Pratibha.
It's
Like
giving
you can schedule, yeah, you can set a schedule daily, weekly, like that. You can schedule
can
it.
do it. Okay,
Published while publishing the reports, you can do it automatically. It will refresh, and daily it will send
it will send. Okay,
a
good then.
snap of
With
email.
all very
Yeah,
colorful
the email
reports.
contains
Hmm.
a snapshot of report and a link of Power BI dashboard report
Dashboard
also.
too. Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. Okay, good. Because see, in my team, right, we are not using this, we are using this. So how SSRS, SSIS packages work is like what I do is I give them like business usually have gives me requirement on reporting. Like they need to get a daily report or weekly report on some kind of, for example, number of authorizations received from this particular market through through OCR team, number of authorizations received through member portal, number of authorizations received through fax, number of authorizations received from customer care, and depending upon market also, like North Carolina is separate reporting, New York is separate, Georgia is separate, state specific reports. And in those authorization requests, and how many were accepted, how many were rejected, so we have like different criteria for the reporting. So what I usually do is I get the requirements, I write the user story, and that for this coding, it needs to, it is done by the developer. So we they configure how the new report needs to be done, how the system has to do that querying and logic and everything. They write it, and I will only test that report. So what I'll do is, I will ask them, so can you create a report and send it to my email ID? So I'll get a sample report. I'll check the body of the email and then the heading and everything, and then attachment, what kind of file it's getting attached. I'll open the attachment and see whether the report looks like expected. Only then I will schedule a demo with my business owners. So again, in UAT, I will ask my developers to send like a report to all my business owners, and then they should get an email, and I'll schedule a UAT demo and I'll show, did you get an email, can you share your screen, is it looking like expected, do you want any changes in any of the attachments and something. So for me reporting, right, I have not used these, but
Okay.
for me, like in real time, for at least for a very long time, I'm using only SSIS and SSRI. Does anybody have experience on this, how to code using this SSRS and all? Anybody have
No.
experience? No, right? Okay. But in reality, this is what I am doing. So I
Oh.
don't have like very
With
big
Power
experience.
Automate, we can automate the emails whenever we want, according to, we can set the
Mm.
time and we can.
So I think why people are not going for this, since like Rohit said, right, this is an enterprise. I think they have to pay for
Yes,
that
yes, this is,
functionality.
yes.
That's why many teams are not going for this.
Okay. But basic level Power BI, but this sharing and all, definitely you need someone has to access everything, means they should go for Pro. So that is
Mm,
why maybe, yeah.
right. Right. So, yeah. So apart from this, like, do you guys know what tools they're using? Does anybody think like have anybody have attended interview?
Not interview for data flows, flow diagrams and all, like even Glyphy, Balsamic. Apart from that, even Canva is also useful, like I feel. Because
Okay.
even I tried from Canva, which
Mhm.
it worked for me, but I don't know about others.
They are asking about, so you're they're asking about Canva, or they can ask like generally what are the tools you have used and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
okay, good. Then yeah, so basically at least like, so when you're telling about, tell me about yourself, you can also say, but if they specifically ask about anything, can you tell me the tools that you have worked? You have to definitely say Jira, Confluence, all this MS products completely, then this reporting tools. Then when it comes to whimsical and text cortex, okay, give me a second, let me share my screen. So this is an AI tool to, like for example, if I click on create, it's going to ask like, do you want flowcharts, mind maps, or wireframes? Or so I can click here, and then here it's going to ask like generate with AI. I'm going to click here. So for example, I need a flowchart. So it's giving like a detailed flow chart. Okay, so now let me create another one. So click create new code. Now I'm going to ask like, can I have a mind map for the same project? See, it's creating a mind map. Does have anybody used this tool?
No.
Anybody has used this AI tool? No, right?
No.
No, Pradeepa, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you have to see. It's not like right now, it's not creating like all the diagrams in the market, but they have like very few options. So it can create flowcharts, mind maps, sequence diagrams. Um, so what is the difference between AI tool and templates? So other tools, right? They have this kind of like templates where Glyphy and then MS Visio, all these like products, they have a template like this, sample template, and you can use the template. And if, for example, it will have a template, a basic template, and you can edit and change the keywords for your projects. But this tool, right, based upon prompts, it's giving you like it's drawing a diagram for you. For example, I'm asking about mind map for East, just giving it randomly some kind of instructions. Immediately, it's giving me like for East or what kind of different. It's giving me like product management, customer management, shopping experience, payment, billing, shipping. So that's the difference between using MS tool, MS products, and all these AI tools, right? So it's basically when you give some kind of prompts, right? Accordingly, it's drawing diagrams for you. It's making your life very easier. So you guys
So
can.
based on this, can we write user stories, Pratibha? Just wanted to know.
No, this is for drawing diagrams, right? So you will always already have a like. So what are the situations when you're going to draw a diagram? Like for your BRDs, you can draw, or
Yeah.
so that time and all you can take a help of. Um, it's very limited now. For example, let me say swim lane diagrams. Okay, let me see whether I'm able to draw a swim lane diagram. Okay, no, this is not swim lane, so it's not getting my instructions correctly. It's drawing flow chart only. Right. So I think, yeah, for right now, the scope is only flowchart, mind maps, sticky notes, and sequence diagrams. Um, so where if you want to draw a flowchart and you want to add that in your BRDs, then maybe like you need not draw everything from scratch. It's going to give you a template and you can like edit it. And then you can maybe like download and add it in your BRD. So it will be helpful. It's like time saving for you.
In interviews, will they ask about this to draw the flowcharts or mind mapping kind of thing?
Yeah, they will ask you, do you have experience in like drawing flowcharts, mind maps, and all these different diagrams? What are the tools you used? So these two, like this is like usually like generally we are drawing using like different with different tools we are drawing these diagrams, but whimsical is like it's an AI tool, means like I can give prompts and it's going to draw for me.
Yeah.
You understood the difference, right, between other tools. MS Visio, you have to drag and drop and you're going to draw from scratch. But if you're using any of the AI tools, based upon your prompts, it is going to draw for you and it's going to like give you a diagram and you can edit it going forward. And then we have another tool called Text Cortex. Let me.
Hi, ma'am. Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Ma'am, as per you have must have been attending so many interviews, or you must have been talking to so many students. As per 2026, what do you think? What are the top 3 to 5 tools which we should majorly focus on, like purely on the as per the interview side? What should we focus upon? So that like these things would be asked in an interview. What are
Yeah.
your topics?
So you're right. You're where, I mean, what is your location? Are you in the US or in India?
Yes, ma'am, I'm in US.
US,
I'm in
right?
Austin, Texas. Yes.
Okay, let's say. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, let's just for an example, if you want to see like what kind of BA jobs are available in your area. So I have like BA3. So if you see here, they're asking for, when it comes to tools, they're asking for Azure DevOps or Jira or similar. Then they are asking for like not any other major tools, so maybe only DevOps or Jira for this particular requirement. And then for this particular requirement, this is Texas Department of Transportation. So here they are asking, let's see, more about, they're not asking anything about tools. Just you need to have BA experience and then you need to have some kind of project management experience. So here they're not even asking any tools. And then let's say if you're asking for this particular role, they're asking only Jira case management systems. So they're not, yeah, only Jira. Like they want someone experienced in only Jira. Let's go for another, maybe more technical. SQL. They're asking SQL and Excel. And then here, so so here also they're asking only about this position is in Austin, PA hybrid, not anything. So not very much on tools, but generally, see from my experience, definitely they're asking agile based tools. Jira and Confluence are definitely a must. Then you need to know definitely about all this diagram. MS Word, MS Excel, I mean not like basic. Like MS Word, why do we use? We use for writing the BRTs. So that's why we use MS Word. MS Excel for data mapping documents, and then RTM matrix. So they may ask, do you know about RTM matrix? How do you write RTM matrix? I will also teach you how to write RTM matrix. So for that, we use for data mapping documents and RTM matrix, we use MS Excel. So yeah, basically these two are mandatory. Jira and Confluence definitely you have to learn, but we are not like developers, right? They cannot ask you about like more technical tools or something. They cannot ask you on that sometimes they can ask. For example, you're going specifically for a Salesforce BA, then they're going to ask about Salesforce tools, or specifically about Pega BA, then they're going to ask you about, have you used Pega, what is the latest Pega version that you have used. So depends upon what kind of BA that you're applying for. But if you're going to go like specifically for all this like junior kind of roles, then mostly like whatever tools I've told you, right? This should be sufficient.
Right. And ma'am, one more thing, I mean, one last question. So I have like 3.5 years of experience. So as per you were showing on the screen, like if a position comes for like if it is asking for 8 years of experience, can I just apply for those kind of roles, or should I just stick to my 3 or 4 years of experience kind of roles only?
I mean, you can apply and see if they call you, then
Hmm.
you can try applying. There is nothing wrong in applying.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, those were my two questions. Thank you so much.
no worries. So next is like text cortex. So we'll finish this text cortex, and then the text cortex is nothing but this is an AI tool, and then you have something called as like there are so many um, versions of this text cortex, but what I'm going to use is one that I'm going to use is only for the documentation purpose. So it can like tell, give me a BRD for check deposit project. So if you see here, I have first I gave a prompt like give me a BRD for mobile check deposit project. So it gave me like a high level like outline on. It will have a introduction, goals, and then scope, and then functional requirements, and then all these open issues. That's all. So then I asked like, can you make it more detailed, please? So now it's adding in introduction itself. It added more detailed stuff. Then if you see here, it just increased the scope. In scope, out of scope, it made it very even more detailed. Now, functional requirements also, now it's like talking about authentication, check image capturing, deposit limits, restrictions, and then error handling scenarios and reporting. Non-functional, as usual, it is performance, security, usability, and reliability. Then I asked to add stakeholders list, version control, and glossary. Now, so it's adding stakeholders list, version control, and then glossary. Okay, so just giving an example of how to give prompts and get like, so you see what's the difference between like googling in internet and then getting a sample BRD and then using this tool, right? This can like customize your requirements and accordingly it will give you like even more in detail. If you get a if you want a template, yes, it's available, it's already available in internet, right? You can download a sample template, and then if you download a sample template, everything like you have to write it on your own. But when you use an AI tool, you can give like prompts and then it's going to give some. I think in chat gpt also you can do this, but this one, this text cortex, right, this is specifically for like BAs to use. So if this is for interview purposes, if they ask you like, do you have any experience in writing a BRD using an AI tool, then you can say text cortex. But you need to know how to give prompts. That is something you have to learn going forward. This is how it will be in next 5 to 6 years, right? We will be using more AI tools. So you need to, this prompt engineering, something you have to be, you have to learn. You have to update yourself how to give prompts to AI tools and get the information as needed for our projects. Any doubts on text cortex and whimsical? Whimsical is for drawing diagrams and text cortex is for like writing the BRD. This is for drawing. Okay.
I think we are good.
Yeah, good. Does anybody have any doubts? No doubts today. Okay. So tomorrow, um, um, there's a question on tell me about the documents that you have created. So here I'm going to talk like as lead BA, SOW documents, project proposal documents. Then I think BRD, FRD we covered today. This is like on as a lead BA, other than the BRD and FRD, what kind of documents you will create. UAT documents, test documents, project deployment documents, and then demo documents. So there are other documents also that you'll be creating, right? So I'll cover all the remaining documents tomorrow in tomorrow's class. And there is, I think people from India are not aware that we have that daylight saving started from this Sunday. I think I don't see many people are joining, but anyway, I will post in the YouTube channel that please join accordingly. So because 9 a.m. EST can be, I think
Yeah.
that's why I think people from India have not joined today. They might have missed that timeline,
Yeah.
but I will add it in the post. Okay.
If
Thank
we
you.
had the email IDs, we could have just sent an email.
Yes, yes.
Not everyone can see that.
Yes. Okay, great. I think we are over the time. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.